The silent invasion. The observation deck of Lunar Base Artemis offered the best view of Earth in the solar system. Commander Elena Reyes stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the blue-green orb that housed 8 billion souls. Her reflection in the reinforced glass showed a woman in her late 30s with close-cropped black hair, sharp features, and the distinctive midnight blue uniform of Earth's Strategic Defense Force. Beautiful, isn't it? Admiral Zhang's voice came from behind her. Almost makes you forget what we're about to face. Elena turned to face her commanding officer. Almost, sir. The Viridian fleet just bypassed the Neptune monitoring station. 17 capital ships, over 40 support vessels. They'll reach Earth orbit in 36 hours. Elena's jaw tightened. The Viridians, a spacefaring species with a penchant for expansion through intimidation, had been gradually pushing toward Earth's solar system for decades. Diplomatic efforts had failed. Now, humanity faced its first true extraterrestrial threat. And Project Lightspeed? She asked quietly. The Admiral's eyes darted around the empty observation deck before he responded. Fully operational. The President will make the announcement to the Security Council in 1 hour. Project Lightspeed, humanity's closely guarded secret for the past 25 years. While publicly claiming that faster-than-light travel remained theoretical, Earth's scientists had not only cracked the problem, but had built an entire shadow fleet equipped with FTL drives. A fleet that officially didn't exist. I need you on the Defiance, Admiral Zhang continued. If the Viridians follow their standard procedure, they'll demand Earth's surrender, followed by resource appropriation and protected status in their hegemony. Elena nodded. She had studied the Viridian conquest patterns extensively, and we play along. For now, the Security Council has authorized Operation Checkmate. While we negotiate their terms, you'll position the Defiance and the 7th Fleet at these coordinates. The Admiral handed her a secure data crystal. When the signal comes, you'll know what to do. Yes, sir. Elena pocketed the crystal. Permission to speak freely. Always, Commander. Why me? There are higher-ranking officers with more combat experience. Admiral Zhang's expression softened slightly. Because you understand the Viridians better than anyone in the fleet. You've spent years analyzing their tactics, their culture, their psychology. And because you're the best pilot we have for the new drive system. Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. 8 billion lives. The future of humanity. I won't let you down, sir. I know you won't, Commander. Briefing in 30 minutes. Dismissed. The Defiance didn't look like much from the outside. A supposedly civilian research vessel with modest armaments. Its true nature was hidden beneath layers of specialized hull material that masked its energy signature and concealed its advanced weapon systems. Most importantly, it carried the Mark IV Lightspeed drive, the most advanced FTL engine humans had ever built. Elena walked through the ship's corridors, making her final inspection before departure. The crew of 120 had been handpicked for this mission, the best of the best, each aware of the stakes. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen, fell into step beside her as she reached the bridge. All systems go, Commander. Stealth systems operational, weapons hot but dormant. We're ready to depart on your order. And our guests. The intelligence officers are settled in. Dr. Patel is running final diagnostics on the translation matrix. Elena nodded. Good. We launch in 20 minutes. Make sure everyone understands. Complete communications blackout once we're beyond lunar orbit. Understood. Elena took her position in the command chair as the bridge crew completed their pre-launch routines. Through the view screen, she could see Earth growing smaller as the Defiance made its way out of lunar orbit under conventional thrusters. Commander, the communications officer called out. Incoming transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Zhang for you. On screen. The Admiral's face appeared before her. Commander Reyes, the Viridian fleet has accelerated. New ETA to Earth orbit is 18 hours. The President has authorized an emergency deployment of our conventional defense fleet to make a show of resistance. A show, sir. We need to convince them we're outmatched but willing to fight. Conventional wisdom suggests they'll offer terms rather than risk damage to Earth's infrastructure. Elena understood the strategy. Make the Viridians believe victory would be swift, but costly enough to warrant negotiation over outright conquest. And our mission parameters, unchanged. Get to the designated coordinates and await the signal. Earth will appear to negotiate while we position our assets. Yes, sir. We're departing now. Godspeed, Commander. Zhang out. As the communication ended, Elena turned to her navigation officer. Lieutenant Rivera, plot a course to the coordinates. Conventional engines until we're past Saturn's orbit, then prepare the lightspeed drive. Aye, Commander. Elena felt the slight vibration as the Defiance's engines powered up to full capacity. On the surface, they were just one more research vessel heading to the outer solar system, nothing that would draw attention from the approaching Viridian fleet. Little did the aliens know that humanity's apparent technological inferiority was an elaborate deception. 18 hours later, the Viridian fleet arrived in Earth orbit with overwhelming force. Their vessels dwarfed Earth's defensive satellites and patrol ships, sleek obsidian structures that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. From the Defiance's position behind Saturn's rings, Elena and her crew monitored the transmissions between Earth and the Viridian command ship. This is Supreme Commander Krell of the Viridian Hegemony. The alien's voice came through the translator, deep and resonating with authority. Your planet is now under Viridian protection. Resistance is unnecessary and will only result in avoidable casualties. President Alvarez's response was measured, her voice betraying carefully calibrated fear and resignation. This is President Maria Alvarez of the United Earth Government. We request parley to discuss terms. There are no terms to discuss, human leader. The hegemony requires access to your planet's resources. In exchange, your people will receive Viridian protection and limited autonomy. You have 2 of your Earth hours to deactivate your defense systems and prepare for our arrival. Elena watched the feed from Earth as the Security Council convened an emergency session to discuss their response. It was all theater. The real decisions had been made weeks ago when the Viridian fleet was first detected approaching the solar system. Commander, Lieutenant Rivera called from the navigation station. We've reached the designated coordinates. All systems nominal and ready for Phase 2. Elena nodded. Excellent. Maintain position and continue passive monitoring. Dr. Patel, I want everything you can give me on their communications protocols. Already working on it, the scientist replied from her station. Their encryption is sophisticated, but there are patterns. I should have a workaround within the hour. While they waited, Elena studied the tactical display. The Viridian fleet had arranged itself in a standard formation around Earth, 12 of their capital ships positioned in low orbit, with the remainder creating a perimeter to prevent any escape. Their support vessels formed a secondary layer, weapons trained on Earth's major cities. It was textbook intimidation, designed to force compliance through the threat of overwhelming force. And from the Viridians' perspective, it was working perfectly. 2 hours later, President Alvarez addressed the Viridian commander again. We have deactivated our defense systems as requested. Our representatives are prepared to meet with yours to discuss the transition. Supreme Commander Krell's satisfaction was evident even through the translation matrix. Wise decision, human leader. Prepare to receive our envoys at your United Nations facility. They will arrive in 6 hours to begin the integration process. As the communication ended, Elena received an encrypted message from Earth Command. She entered her authorization code and watched as Admiral Zhang's face appeared on her private screen. Commander Reyes, Operation Checkmate is now active. You have 72 hours to position your assets and prepare for Phase 3. The 7th Fleet is en route to your position via conventional means to maintain the deception. Additional orders follow. Elena downloaded the encrypted file attached to the message. Understood, Admiral. We'll be ready. One more thing, Commander. We need intelligence on their flagship's defensive capabilities. The President has authorized a covert insertion. Elena felt a surge of adrenaline. A boarding operation, sir. Precisely. We need someone who understands their systems and can get in and out without detection. Your name was at the top of the list. Elena considered the risks. A solo infiltration of an alien vessel was beyond dangerous, but the intelligence would be invaluable. I'll do it, sir. I knew you would. Details are in the attached file. Good hunting, Commander. Zhang out. As the Admiral's image disappeared, Elena turned to her executive officer. Lieutenant Commander Chen, you have the bridge. I need to prepare for a solo mission. Chen's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded. Understood, Commander. How long will you be gone? If all goes well, 12 hours. If not. She left the sentence unfinished. The ship will be ready when you return, Chen said firmly. Elena headed to the armory, where she found Dr. Patel waiting with a small case. I've modified the standard stealth suit for Viridian bioscanners, the scientist explained, opening the case to reveal a skin-tight black uniform with integrated technology. It won't make you invisible, but it will mask your life signs as background radiation. How long will it last? 8 hours at full capacity. After that, the power cells will degrade rapidly. Elena examined the suit. That doesn't give me much margin for error. No, it doesn't. Dr. Patel agreed. But I've also prepared this. She handed Elena what looked like a small metal disc. Emergency transponder with quantum entanglement. If you activate it, we'll know instantly, regardless of interference or distance. And extraction. That's where the light-speed drive comes in. The Defiance can make a micro-jump directly to your coordinates. Elena pocketed the transponder. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. What about weapons? Only non-metallic options, I'm afraid. Their scanners would detect anything else. Dr. Patel produced a composite blade and what appeared to be a standard pen. The knife is molecular-edged. It'll cut through almost anything. The pen contains 3 doses of a neural disruptor. 1 dose will incapacitate a Viridian for approximately 10 minutes. Elena took both items. And my way in. That's the tricky part. Dr. Patel handed her a datapad. They've established a regular shuttle service between their flagship and Earth for their diplomatic team. We've identified a brief window during the 3rd rotation where you might be able to slip aboard undetected. Elena studied the information. The plan was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy, but if successful, it would give Earth crucial intelligence about Viridian defensive systems. I'll leave in 6 hours, she decided. That should put me in position for the 3rd shuttle rotation. As Elena prepared for her mission, studying Viridian ship schematics and memorizing patrol patterns, she couldn't help but wonder how the aliens would react when they discovered humanity's deception. For 25 years, Earth had maintained the facade of being a relatively primitive spacefaring species, all while secretly developing technology that would make them equals, or perhaps superiors, to any known civilization. Soon, that deception would end, and the galaxy would never be the same. The impossible counterattack. The shuttle bay of the Viridian flagship was a marvel of alien engineering. Elena Rice pressed herself against the shadowed corner of a maintenance conduit, her stealth suit working overtime to mask her life signs from the biodetectors that regularly swept the area. She had managed to slip aboard during the 3rd shuttle rotation, hiding amidst cargo containers being transferred to the massive vessel. The Viridians moved with disciplined precision, their tall, lean bodies covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors subtly as they passed under different light sources. Their 4-fingered hands manipulated control panels with practiced efficiency, and their lidless eyes, 3 per individual, scanned their surroundings constantly. Elena consulted her wrist display. She had used nearly 2 hours of her 8-hour window already. The primary data core would be several decks above her current position, heavily guarded and almost certainly isolated from external networks. She'd need to get physical access. A maintenance hatch slid open nearby as a Viridian technician emerged. Elena waited until the alien had moved away before slipping through the still-open hatch. The maintenance corridors were narrower, designed for Viridian utility workers rather than humans, but they offered a path through the ship that avoided the main thoroughfares. Using the schematics she had memorized, pieced together from intelligence reports and educated guesses, Elena navigated through the labyrinthine passages, climbing steadily upward toward the command center. After another hour of careful movement, she reached a junction near her target. The data core would be through the next bulkhead, but her scanner showed 4 Viridian guards on the other side. Elena weighed her options. The neural disruptor would only affect one guard at a time, and using it would almost certainly alert the others. She needed a distraction. From her utility pouch, she removed a small device, a modified communications disruptor programmed to mimic a cascade failure in the ship's internal systems. She attached it to a nearby conduit and set a 30-second timer. When the device activated, alarms blared throughout the section. 3 of the 4 guards rushed toward the apparent malfunction, leaving the single sentry at the data core entrance. Elena moved silently behind a remaining guard and pressed the disguised neural disruptor against its neck. The Viridian dropped without a sound. She dragged the unconscious alien into a storage alcove and approached the data core. The interface was alien but followed logical patterns she had studied. She connected her specialized data drive and began the extraction process, watching anxiously as the progress bar filled. 2 minutes until completion. Footsteps approached. The guards were returning. Elena positioned herself behind a bank of equipment, the data drive still connected to the Viridian system. The 3 guards entered, speaking rapidly in their clicking language. One moved to the console where Elena's drive was connected, noticing something amiss. It reached for an alarm panel. Elena had no choice. She launched herself from her hiding place, striking the guard with a precise blow to a nerve cluster near its central spine, a vulnerability identified in xenobiology reports. As that guard collapsed, she deployed the neural disruptor against a second. The 3rd guard managed to sound the alarm before Elena could reach it. Klaxons wailed throughout the ship as she yanked her data drive from the console. 87% complete would have to be enough. All personnel, security breach in Central Data Core, came an announcement in the Viridian language, which her translator rendered in her earpiece. Unknown intruder detected. Elena raced back toward the maintenance shaft, knowing her stealth suit's effectiveness would now be compromised by the heightened security protocols. She needed to reach the shuttle bay within the next 3 hours, or she'd be stranded when her suit's power failed. As she navigated the increasingly crowded maintenance corridors, she could hear security teams converging from multiple directions. A squad of armed Viridians appeared at the end of the passage ahead of her, forcing her to duck into a side channel. Her wrist display showed a map of the ship with her planned escape route now blocked by security personnel. She needed an alternative. Elena remembered a detail from the schematics. The Viridian ships had emergency escape pods positioned around the hull. If she could reach one, she might be able to launch it during the confusion and rendezvous with the Defiance. She altered her course, heading for the nearest escape pod bay. The ship's internal communications buzzed with activity as security teams coordinated their search. The Viridians were methodical, sealing off sections and performing thorough sweeps. Time was running out. Elena's suit indicator showed less than 4 hours of power remaining, and she was still several decks away from any potential exit. She paused at an intersection, checking her scanner. A large group of Viridians was approaching from the left. She turned right, only to find another group converging from that direction. They were boxing her in. With no other options, Elena opened a ventilation duct and squeezed inside, pulling the grate closed behind her. The shaft was barely large enough for her to crawl through, designed for the ship's atmospheric circulation rather than maintenance access. For an hour, she navigated the cramped ducts, using her scanner to avoid areas where Viridians were searching. Finally, she reached an access point near an escape pod bay. The bay was guarded, but the Viridians were focused outward, expecting her to approach from the corridors rather than from above. Elena dropped silently behind a storage unit, watching the guards and calculating her odds. 3 guards, all armed with what intelligence suggested were neural disruptors similar to her own. The escape pod controls were simple by design. Even in panic, crew members needed to be able to operate them quickly. Elena removed her final piece of equipment from her utility pouch, a small electromagnetic pulse generator designed to temporarily disable Viridian technology without harming their biological systems. She activated it and tossed it toward the guards. The device detonated with a soft whump, disabling the guards' weapons and communications. Before they could react, Elena was moving, delivering precise strikes to incapacitate them. With the guards neutralized, she accessed the escape pod controls, programming a seemingly random trajectory that would actually bring her within range of the Defiance's sensors. As alarms continued to sound throughout the ship, she sealed herself inside the pod and initiated the launch sequence. The pod ejected from the Viridian flagship with a violent jolt, small thrusters automatically stabilizing its flight path. Through the small viewport, Elena could see the massive alien vessel growing distant as she spiraled away. She activated her emergency transponder. Now it was a race against time. Her suit power was down to less than 2 hours, and Viridian retrieval vessels would undoubtedly be dispatched to recover the malfunctioning escape pod. Exactly 9 minutes later, space distorted around her as the Defiance materialized from a micro-jump. The research vessel's docking tractor beam locked onto the escape pod, drawing it into the shuttle bay. Lieutenant Commander Chen was waiting when the pod's hatch opened. Cutting it a bit close, Commander. Elena stepped out, her suit's power indicator now blinking red. Did we get anything useful from the data drive? Dr. Patel is analyzing it now, but you should see this immediately. Chen led her to the bridge, where a tactical display showed dozens of new signatures appearing around Saturn. The 7th Fleet has arrived, Chen explained, and Earth has just transmitted the activation signal for Operation Checkmate. It's happening, Commander. Elena took her place in the command chair, still wearing the nearly depleted stealth suit. Status report. All systems optimal. Lightspeed drive at full capacity. Weapons systems armed and ready. The rest of our shadow fleet is in position around Jupiter and Mars. And the Viridians? Still in Earth orbit, completely unaware. Their flagship is showing increased activity, probably related to your visit, but they haven't altered their overall defensive posture. Elena nodded. Open a channel to Fleet Admiral Zhang. The Admiral's face appeared on screen moments later. Commander Reyes, I see you made it back in one piece. Yes, sir. We've recovered significant intelligence on Viridian systems. Dr. Patel is analyzing it now. Excellent work. Are you prepared for Phase 3? Elena straightened in her chair. The Defiance is ready, Admiral. Then let's show the Viridians what humanity is really capable of. Execute Operation Checkmate. Supreme Commander Krell stood on the command deck of the hegemony vessel Inevitable Dominion, watching with satisfaction as his subordinates coordinated the first wave of resource extraction operations. The humans had capitulated exactly as expected, offering token resistance before recognizing the futility of opposing the Viridian hegemony. Supreme Commander, his security chief approached, mandibles clicking with agitation. We've completed our investigation of the intruder incident. The escape pod has not been recovered. Krell's middle eye narrowed. An infiltrator managed to breach our security, access restricted data, and escape. This is unacceptable, Security Chief Vex. We're still analyzing how they bypassed our systems, Supreme Commander. Preliminary findings suggest advanced stealth technology beyond what humans should possess. Could it have been another species? The Arcturians, perhaps? Negative. Trace biological markers were definitively human. Krell considered this disturbing information. If humans possess technology capable of infiltrating a Viridian flagship, what else might they be hiding? Before he could pursue this line of thought, An alarm sounded from the sensor station. "Supreme Commander," the sensor officer called out. "Multiple anomalies detected." "Specify," Krell demanded, moving to the main display. "Spatial distortions forming around our fleet. Pattern unknown." The tactical display flickered as dozens, then hundreds of new signatures appeared simultaneously around the Viridian fleet, materializing from nowhere in a perfect encirclement pattern. "Impossible," Krell whispered. The communications officer's voice rose in panic. "Incoming transmission. Supreme Commander. From everywhere at once." "On screen," Krell ordered. The central display activated to show a human female in a midnight blue uniform, the same one who had infiltrated his ship hours earlier. "Supreme Commander Krell," she said, her voice calm and measured. "I am Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Strategic Defense Force. Your fleet is now surrounded by 342 vessels of humanity's FTL-capable navy." "This is a deception," Krell replied, though the sensor data before him suggested otherwise. "Humans do not possess faster-than-light technology." Commander Reyes smiled slightly. "That's what we wanted you to believe, Supreme Commander. For 25 years, Earth has maintained the illusion of technological inferiority, while building a fleet capable of defending not just our planet, but our entire solar system." Krell glanced at the tactical display again. The human vessels had appeared simultaneously in a perfect three-dimensional encirclement. Each Viridian ship was targeted by multiple human vessels. "What are your terms?" he asked, mandibles tight with suppressed rage. "The Viridian fleet will power down weapon systems immediately and prepare for escort out of the solar system. Earth will not be joining your hegemony today, or ever. And if we refuse, the human vessels have established an interference field. Our navigation systems cannot plot a clear trajectory." Krell had never faced such a situation in his 3 centuries of military service. The supposedly primitive humans had orchestrated a perfect trap, revealing technological capabilities that rivaled or exceeded Viridian achievements. He signaled for the transmission to be resumed. "Your demonstration is impressive, Commander Reyes. The Viridian hegemony acknowledges Earth's right to independence. A wise decision, Supreme Commander. You have 1 hour to prepare your fleet for escort. Any vessel that deviates from the prescribed course will be disabled immediately." As the transmission ended, Krell turned to his second-in-command. "Begin power-down procedures and prepare the fleet for departure. And send a priority message to the Hegemony Council. Earth is not what we thought it was." From the command deck of the Defiance, Elena watched as the Viridian fleet was escorted beyond Pluto's orbit by ships of Earth's Shadow Navy. The operation had gone flawlessly. Centuries of Viridian military doctrine undone by humanity's capacity for deception and innovation. Admiral Zhang's hologram stood beside her, watching the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. "The Security Council has voted unanimously to reveal the existence of the FTL fleet to the public. After today's events, there's no point in maintaining the secrecy." "How are the people taking it?" Elena asked. "Better than expected. Learning we've been secretly building a space navy capable of defending Earth from alien invasion tends to overshadow the fact that we've been keeping it secret for 25 years. Elena nodded. "And our galactic position? Already changing. 7 species have requested diplomatic relations in the last 6 hours. The Arcturian Collective has proposed a mutual defense treaty. Even the Cepheid dynasty, who've ignored us for decades, have expressed interest in reevaluating their stance toward Earth. All because we showed we could fight back," Elena observed. "Not just fight back," the Admiral corrected. "Because we demonstrated something uniquely human, the ability to play the long game, to appear weak while building strength, and to strike with overwhelming force when the moment is right." Elena looked out at the stars beyond the viewscreen. Humanity had revealed itself as a major power in a single decisive action. The galaxy would never see them as primitive or easy targets again. "Commander," the communications officer interrupted. "The last Viridian vessel has cleared the solar system boundary. Operation Checkmate is complete. Elena exchanged a look with Admiral Zhang. Mission accomplished, sir. Indeed, Commander. Now the real work begins. Return to Earth orbit. There's going to be a rather significant debriefing waiting for you. As the Admiral's hologram disappeared, Elena gave the order to set course for home. The Defiance's lightspeed drive engaged, folding space around the vessel as it leaked back toward Earth in an instant, a capability that had just rewritten humanity's place in the galactic order. No longer would Earth be seen as a backwater world of limited technological achievement. With their FTL secret revealed, humans had demonstrated not only advanced technology, but the strategic patience and cunning to use it effectively. And somewhere in Viridian space, Supreme Commander Krell was delivering a message to his superiors. Earth was not to be trifled with. They had faster-than-light technology, yes, but more importantly, they had the uniquely human traits of deception, adaptability, and the will to use both to defend their home. For the aliens who had thought Earth would be an easy conquest, there was, indeed, no escape from this new reality.